Hello everyone, and welcome to a new series where I'll be brutally reviewing every Premier League game and seeing how your team did, what they can get better at, and what it means for your club in the future fixtures. But before I begin, if you are new here, it would be greatly appreciated if you could hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. But yeah, let's just get into it. United Chelsea, not the most exciting game to watch, but I think there was positives for both sides. I think if you're going to talk about Manchester United, you have to talk about the performance of Mazraoui. I thought he was absolutely insane. And just look at the facts from the game that he got. 5 dribbles, the most in the match. 4 tackles, the most in the match. 13 duels won, the most in the match. He was a defensive demon out there. I really think he locked down Madueke. And it hasn't been a great past few weeks for Madueke. I feel like he's really struggled against fullbacks, not really influencing games, not using the overlaps and the underlaps from Gusto or whoever it be on that side. He needs to use the options in and around him. And that's what's the difference between him and the likes of Saka of this world. He doesn't use the options around him enough. There's a bit of this selfishness in this game, and it is unfortunate to see because I think he has a lot of potential. He's a fantastic player, but he's got to iron that out of his game. We also saw a fantastic performance from Moises Caicedo in the midfield. He really has been probably the top 3 best midfielders in the Premier League over this calendar year. I really do think that the positions he picks up, the way he reads the game, I hate to say this, I don't want to say it, but a mini Kante in the way that he sniffs things out. And he's so quality on the ball as well. He just brought that maturity into Chelsea's performance when they needed him. Just looking at those stats, 2 clearances, 4 recoveries, 1 interception, really good stuff. 8.3 rating as well, really deserved. And it was that sort of game where you needed the maturity in the midfield. The quality wasn't high at all. There was a lot of balls being lost. You need someone to just put their foot on the ball and start playing, and he certainly did that at times, and it really helped Chelsea. In terms of the back fours of both teams, I feel like United were pretty solid. There were times they would be exposed, but they were really aggressive in the way they pressed, with Fernandes, Garnacho, Rashford and Højlund all on Chelsea's back 3 when they were trying to build up. But in terms of performances for both teams, is this going to mean a lot going forward? No, not really. It wasn't a game where you can say these teams are going to be destined for top 4, destined for challenging for the title, destined for whatever. They're not really at those levels. But I think Chelsea fans would appreciate me talking about Robert Sanchez, who was not great for them, committing that foul that led to the penalty. And it's been a big problem for Chelsea. They really need a top quality goalkeeper. I would say, disregarding that big stint from Mendy of where he was about really world class for about a year, Chelsea haven't had a fantastic keeper since Courtois left in 2013, and that's a big thing for a big club like Chelsea. They need to have a quality goalkeeper, and it's going to slow the way that they can grow and how quickly they can challenge for the title. But it was great to see Reece James back out there. Thought he had a solid game, complete the most passes with 73, 98 touches. It's always a positive thing when he completes the 90 minutes, and he looked pretty strong over there. And when Gusto came off for Cucurella, Chelsea started to play. But yeah, that is it for that game. Let us move on to the next one. Next up on the agenda is Spurs 4, Aston Villa 1. And let's be honest, if you're a Tottenham fan watching this, you'll agree with me. You were absolutely horrendous in that first half. It was not that Villa were great, but Tottenham just couldn't get things going. You could tell the crowd were getting frustrated. Then the goal from Rodgers from the corner, that's been a big issue for Tottenham. They haven't really been dealing with corners. I think Vicario isn't the most commanding goalkeeper in those situations, but I feel like that second half performance absolutely blew Aston Villa away. And this is what I like about Spurs in a sense. Once they get going, they can put you to sleep. They can score 3-4 goals when they're in the mood. I thought the performance again of Kulusevski in that little pocket of space that he picks up was really good. 42 touches, a magical assist for Solanke. And that's also who I want to talk about, Dominic Solanke, a player who's been getting a lot of criticism from Tottenham fans, not scoring enough goals. I think he was really good. 8.9 rating. He had the least touches of any outfield player, and I think that can be significant. Sometimes you need your centre forward to be influencing games, even if they have few touches. I think his movement was great, dragging defenders away from his teammates. This is the sort of thing you expect from strikers. And they were really good finishes, especially that dink over Martinez, really cool and composed. Then that second goal, getting into the box, getting in the area to tap it home, that's what you want to see. But also we got to talk about Ange Postecoglou taking off Heung-min Son. That could have been a disaster, but that's what these managers are paid to do, make these big decisions. And Richarlison comes on the pitch and does a fantastic job, getting the assist, being involved until he had to get taken off from Maddison, who scored a peach of a free kick. But Son, he wasn't too happy. You can expect that from a player. Spurs needed to save him. That change was needed in the sense that, they didn't want to risk him. There was times where Son would come on and get injured straight away, and Spurs don't need that. He's a pivotal player for them. But, the way Richarlison came on, the way he acted as a player there, it was really nice to see. I feel like he has a lot of potential. Richarlison just needs to stay fit. But I think, the best player on the pitch really was Matchday. Really, really good. Look at that. The most completed passes with 59. Most foul player in the match as well. He was everywhere. Spurs, when they press, they need a high energy midfielder. And Matchday was really, really good. A lot of energy all over the pitch, pressing high. Influential for the goal that Solanke scored, the second one, with the way he pressed. And he's still so young, 22 years old. Really, really good stuff. And I feel like this Spurs team are one number 6 away from being really, really solid. A number 6 who dictates the play, that is just his sole purpose, a Rodri, a Rice, those sort of midfielders, just to defend the spaces and be really strong, to allow Matchday to be energetic and go box to box, to allow Kulusevski or Maddison, whoever it be in the pockets, to receive the ball. But let's just focus on Villa for a bit. Not the best performance for them. I think they were really good. Onana initially had a couple of great turns in the match, looked really strong. I feel like John McGinn really didn't have a great game at all, holding on the ball too much. But this is where it begs the question really for Villa. They did rest a lot of players in midweek. I'm interested to know, if you're a Villa fan and watching this, what was your thoughts on that? Don't you feel like you needed a trophy against Crystal Palace? That was a big opportunity to get yourself into a quarter final, and you don't know what's going to happen from there. So it was interesting to see how many players were rested in that game and how many players actually played this game. At the end of the day, it didn't make any difference. You lost 4-1. But I feel like Villa will bounce back from this. Unai Emery is a fantastic manager. Just one of those days where you just got completely outplayed by the opposition in the second half. But yeah, that is Tottenham 4, Aston Villa 1 reviewed. As an Arsenal fan, I've been trying to put off this game as much as I could, but I had to just do it third, and that is Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0. And let's just talk about Newcastle. I feel like this video, in terms of looking at this game, should focus on how good Newcastle were defensively. Lewis Hall and Livramento, just so impressive. Lewis Hall got the man of the match with the 8.2 rating. He had the most tackles in the match. And when you're putting a player like Saka in a position where they're not really as effective, you've got to put your hat off. He's going to be England's first choice left back for sure. At just 20 years old, he really has all the qualities going forward, defensively as well. He's got a great body. He knows how to use his body to defend certain situations. And he's progressive as well. It was just really nice to see the way he played, even as an opposition fan, to see the way he jeweled, see the way how strong he was. 8 clearances there, 2 blocks, 1 interception, 4 headed clearances. Looking at those defensive stats, you can't help but be like, wow, what a fantastic performance. And it wasn't even him. It was Livramento on the other side. He had the most chances created in the match, the most tackles in the match with 3. They were just so good. I don't think, Martinelli's ever had a good game against Livramento. I looked towards last season as well, when Newcastle won 1-0 again. When Livramento came off the bench, I think it was at half time, Martinelli had nothing, absolutely nothing. One of those players who's really, really good, energetic, strong. He has all the qualities to be a first choice right back himself. Newcastle are blessed to have young fullbacks with a lot of potential, and England potential as well. Obviously, the likes of Gordon and Isak were very, very impressive. The way that they were getting forward, the way they were, releasing the pressure for Newcastle was really, really great to see. I think Anthony Gordon has so much quality, and the fact he signed a new contract is massive for Newcastle, to be honest. They needed him to stay. He stayed, and now they look really, really good. And Isak, it's just a matter of keeping him fit. He's a clinical guy, takes his chances. I really, really love to see how he plays. He was really good up there. It's not an easy task against Saliba and Gabriel, but when he did receive the ball, most times he was productive, dropping into the pockets and receiving. And I know on here it doesn't show Joe Willock had that much of an impact on the game, but the runs he was making was absolutely incredible, popping up anywhere really in the attacking phases to support Isak and Gordon, because Joe Linton obviously has been in this defensive role. Willock would be that energy to go forward, and it was just working so well, and Arsenal couldn't deal with it. But of course, let us just talk about Arsenal, and well, no threat at all. If we just slide over here and look at the sort of stats from the game, all of that ball, 64% possession, 10 shots. But if you could tell me what those shots were, I want to even be able to remember. You got Declan Rice ones, and that's it really. Maybe Trossard when he stumbled in the box as well. but you've got to create more as a team that wants to win the league. I wouldn't say the league is over. Maybe that's me being biased, but I wouldn't say it's over. I would say it's a massive wake-up call, and going to Chelsea next weekend, pretty much, that, sort of must-win situation because of how poor we were in the game. I think the only positive you could really say is maybe nothing. Actually, I'm not even going to try and pretend there was any positives, because there wasn't. Newcastle, absolutely fantastic, deserved the 3 points, and a really positive performance that's going to hopefully propel them to perform better and get more points on the board. Now on to scintillating Liverpool, looking at their performance against Brighton. What a game, to be honest. I think in that first half, I'm sure Liverpool fans will agree with me, Brighton were all over you. Really good runs there from Ruta, Mitoma, Welbeck. They were causing real problems to that back four. But the way Liverpool responded in that second half, and that's why Arne Slot is a fantastic manager. The in-game changes he did, bringing on Curtis Jones, bringing on Luis Diaz when Szoboszlai wasn't playing that well. All of these changes, they impacted the game. And this is what title favourites do, or title sort of winners do. They have these games where they're not great in the first half, but do enough so they're not in a situation they can't recover. And I mean, the power of Anfield is just absolutely unreal. Once they were getting into that rhythm, you just saw this game getting away from Brighton. It was suffocating. Even as someone watching it, I was like, wow, bang, 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 Salah goal. It was just so much going on. It really was. And I'm sure it's a horrible situation as an opposition player at Anfield when it gets like that. You can't really do anything. But let's look at the individual performances. I thought for Brighton, Kadioglu was really strong out there for them. Got that goal. Fantastic hit, by the way. But he looked really good. His touches were quality. I thought Ayari as well. I know it's just by rating here, but Ayari, when I watched him, looked really tidy as well. Picking up some nice pockets of spaces. Some really good stuff in there. Estepinian against Salah in that first half gave him no change. But it was that moment. It was that moment where he did have that little argument with Trent Alexander-Arnold, and they were barging, and I was like, this reminds me of Granit Xhaka at Anfield. This reminds me when we woke up the Liverpool beast and he woke up the Liverpool beast at Anfield. You do not want to be doing that. Bit of immaturity maybe, but once that moment happened, Liverpool were just absolutely incredible. But let's look at Liverpool players. I think Tsimikas is really staking a claim to be the first choice left back. I really think he's that good. His balls into the box at times were absolutely unreal. The quality on his crosses is just a joy to see sometimes. And the sort of areas he was picking up, the overlaps he was doing, really energetic. But I feel like what's incredible about him is his dueling capacity, as you'll see in the bottom right here. 8 out of 8 ground duels won, 1 out of 1 aerial duels won. He's a fantastic defensive left back. He can do the attacking stuff, but he can also defend too, and that's what you want to be seeing from a player. Salah, what a finish from him, absolutely unreal. Gakpo seems to have this finish in him. Really fantastic player. I rate him so much, and he's just getting into his own now. I think he's going to soon be staking a claim to be that first choice left winger. And of course, for me, coming off the bench, Joe Gomez. Wow, what a rock of a performance that was from him. And yeah, let's just look at that in depth. I mean, he was really putting himself about 2 blocks, 2 clearances, all of his duels won, 100% of his duels won, 88% pass accuracy. He wanted to leave in the summer, and to come on and to fight like that, I really thought it was going to be the time he gets his first goals for the club as well. It was such a strong performance, and of course Trent here showing as the man of the match was really good as well. He's really improved defensively. Mitoma had no change out of him, and that's a big win for Liverpool. If we look at the table just now quickly, it takes them to top, 2 points ahead of City, and wow, 7 points ahead of Arsenal. If they can just keep themselves level-headed, they're going to be a really strong force. But let's get on to the next game. Let's get on to probably the shock of the weekend, really, and that was the performance of Bournemouth in their 2-1 win against Manchester City. And what I will say is Iraola is cooking something absolutely fantastic. I mean, the way they played, the way they dominated the game. This wasn't even a game where you can say, okay, City had loads of chances and they deserved to win. Bournemouth deserved to win, and by a lot more. This could have been 4-0 if they were a bit more clinical. But yeah, we just got to focus on Bournemouth. I mean, Semenyo was absolutely unreal. The pace, the power, the strength. At just 24 years old, the things he was doing, I was in shock, really. He's a great ball carrier. He's just got all the things you would want. He's scored goals as well there. A really complete performance, a 9.0 rating, most dribbles with 6, not even surprising to see these, most tackles as well, and the most duels won, 40. He gave Walker an absolute nightmare. I know that Walker, apparently he didn't train before even playing this game, so you've got to feel sorry for City in that sense, but Semenyo absolutely killed him, killed City in there, the spaces he was picking up, just the quality he was showing. It was really, really lovely to see, and I feel like Eva Nilsson for Bournemouth, it's now his time. He's now picking up and scoring goals, and that was a massive thing. In the summer I was like, why didn't they get Nketiah? But now I'm seeing Eva Nilsson, the scouting team of Bournemouth, they've brought a really nice striker who's starting to pick up nice positions, hold up the ball, link the play, really nice. And a player I love so much in left back is Kirkes. I think he's absolutely unreal. 8.6 rating, 2 assists as well. He's just so good. He's so energetic. I think it was the 88th minute and he was running forward, overlapping. He just wants to be in attacking situations, and he's the perfect sort of left back. When you have a left back who can defend and attack, you are in dream world. And I mean, let's just look at City. I mean, the goal by Gvardiol, I thought it was happening again, to be honest. I was like, this guy is so clutch. He had a really strong game. I think him, Edison, probably Matheus Nunes as well, were the 3 players that really impressed me in the game. Gundogan was really rusty in that first half. I feel like he's not hit those levels at all since coming back to City. It's going to take him time, I think, coming from Barcelona, a different environment, but he really hasn't clicked at all, and they need a solution in that number 6 role. Kovacic is great, but look at that, 0 tackles even put in from him in the game, and that is not what you want to be seeing. They missed that stopper in the midfield to create that composure that Rodri does. It's just not happening. Even for Philip Foden, not really happening for him at all. And Haaland as well had an opportunity to make it 2-2, I think it was, and missed the target, unlike him. City, I wouldn't say they were in a crisis right now, but they really need to find some solutions for that midfield, because I can see, you know, it's not even just this game. They've been lucky to win quite a few games this season, and I feel like if this doesn't stop at any sort of stage, they're going to just go through this sort of rut and they sort of run their Arsenal on at the minute, where they go 3 games without a win, and soon Liverpool are out of sight. And I mean, fantastic for Liverpool, but watching it as an opposition fan, it wouldn't be great if the title race just ran away like that. But let us just get on to the next game. The next game, Nottingham Forest 3, West Ham United 0, and I can honestly say West Ham are probably the worst team in the Premier League by far, by a country mile. Just don't even look at the Premier League table. I'm going to tell you, from watching West Ham United, they are absolutely abysmal. Giving up shots, attacking situations, they're not in them as well. Formation is just not suiting the players too. It's just not working. I don't know how they managed to beat Manchester United last week, and they only did that because of a dodgy penalty decision. And I normally do love West Ham. I loved how they played under Moyes. They really gave the big boys a run for their money, but they've just been awful. But enough about West Ham and about how bad they were. Let's talk about Forest, who are just absolutely flying. And I think when you talk about Forest, you've got to talk about that back four. Big things for smaller teams in the league is how good the back four is. It doesn't matter how good your attack is. We've seen many smaller teams have horrible attacks. You know, not horrible attacks, sorry. Have fantastic attacks, but horrible defenses. And they really struggle and they go down. But once you've got that balance where you've got a fantastic defense and maybe even just a decent attack, you're going to absolutely fly. And I think Murillo and Milinkovic's partnership has been so crucial. Murillo is the more aggressive one going forward. Ball playing ability is all there. Then you've got Milinkovic, the one with the experience back there, 27. You know, he had the least touches actually in this game, sorry. But he just has that composure that's needed to go with such a young centre half in Murillo at 22. They complement each other so well. Then you're looking at Moreno, who's come in from Aston Villa. He must be absolutely delighted coming into a team that's functioning. He's fitting the system, getting an assist. He's really good. Ola Aina, probably one of my favourite fullbacks. Quick, aggressive, strong, jeweler. And I mean, that strike was absolutely crazy. Into the top corner. He was tired. He was sipping his Ribena in that interview. But wow, what a performance from him, to be honest. Everything is just clicking A lot of players are just loving their football at the minute. Hudson-Odoi, who they got in from Chelsea, is loving their football. 8.7 rating, another goal for him, creating the most chances. He is a fantastic player, and Nuno Espirito Santo is getting the best out of him right now, and you love to see that. And you love just to see those players who are kind of written off and they're starting to perform. That's what you want to be seeing. Gibbs White as well, fantastic. Chris Wood, I mean, wow, he is a Barclays man and a half right now. He's just scoring for fun. Probably does deserve Player of the Month for last month. He's just absolutely unreal. Look at that, 26 touches. He's just really, really good holding the ball up, scoring goals, getting into really dangerous positions. What you want from a number 9, a classic 9. And I am a fan of Awoniyi, and I really did think he should be the number 1 striker coming into this season. But the way Chris Wood is playing is absolutely unreal. And I think we've got to look at well for a star in the table. 3rd place is absolutely incredible. They are flying, and I don't know what the expectations are, but maybe a sneaky European push. Conference League, who says no? I feel like the way they're playing, they've got to aspire higher. And wow, what a performance. Let us just get on to the next game. Wolves 2, Crystal Palace 2. And to be honest, when I saw this at 5:30, I was like, what is the point? Who's going to even want to dwell into that? No offense to both teams. Maybe that's me being a greedy sort of big 6 lover. But I think it was a pretty good game, and I feel like the opportunities Crystal Palace created, they should have been out of sight and won this game, to be honest. If you saw the XG, if I can just try and get it up here, look at that, 2.51 to 1.3. It was a really, really strong performance from them. And it begs the question, when you're looking at Nketiah, who they bought for 40 million, they got to have someone bagging these opportunities. And I really am a big fan of Eddie, but I feel like he's really not in the rhythm at the minute. And playing him in these wide forward positions, it doesn't help him at all. But when you've got Mateta, I mean, Glasner's in a tricky sort of position. I think he's got to play one of them, especially when Eze is back. He's got to stick with one, give them a run of the games. I think Eddie needs at least just 10 games where you say, I'm going to trust you, Eddie, and I'm going to play you. But let's just focus on that back 3 of Crystal Palace, who I absolutely just love in terms of balance and skill and quality. Chalobah getting his goal. I think you know, it was so unfair for Chelsea to get rid of him. I feel like he's a quality centre half, suits the back 3 system a lot. Then you've got Lacroix, rapid player, really strong as well. Been really impressed with him, especially at Tottenham last week. I thought it was fantastic. Then Mark Gahey, a man who plays like he's 35. The amount of quality he has back there is just absolutely incredible. He deserves a big move, and I'm not disrespecting Crystal Palace, but I feel like he's a player who's going to go, you know, levels up when he's in maybe a Liverpool or a Chelsea, or not Chelsea, but any of the bigger clubs in the world. He really is a quality player. Then you're looking at Wolves. I think Gomez's goal was really nice, great passage of play, but I'm disappointed in the Wolves fans, booing them off. Well, not booing them off, but in a sense, they're just not happy with the way that they're playing, saying you don't know what you're doing, you know, O'Neill, everything seems a mess. But I feel like they play brilliant football. Whenever I watch Wolves, they play some great football. And I feel like contests needs to be applied. The first 9 games that Wolves had were absolutely just a joke. So difficult. You know, you couldn't legislate for how hard those fixtures were. But these are the games, I get it, where they need to be coming out with the 3 points, and they haven't. But there's enough to suggest Gary O'Neill, you know, I'm not a Wolves fan, but I'd give him at least until the end of the month to try and turn this around, or 3 more games. If he doesn't win, get any points on the board after the next 3 games, then you can get him out. I feel like that's the situation. Cunha is always quality when I watch him. Another assist for him. The way he drives the ball is so good. But in terms of a contest, a point apiece, teams that both really needed to win, both find themselves a bit lower on that table, 17th and 20th. It's not what they both want. I'm sure both fans are coming away from that game a bit disappointed, expecting that they should have won it. But this is the Premier League. That's what it's all about. And I thought it was a pretty good game to watch in terms of the goals scored. Did Palace deserve that goal? The one that was sort of not given for the foul on the keeper. Very dodgy. If that had been given, I don't think there would have been any complaints. If it hasn't been given, there has been complaints. So it was one of those situations where I think it was 50-50, to be honest. But let's get on to the next game. Now on to Ipswich 1, Leicester 1. A game which was quite interesting, and where you've essentially got 2 teams which are evenly matched. Both need to win. Both don't really want to be drawing, but if we look at the game as an overall, I feel like Ipswich will be a bit disappointed not to come away with those 3 points. I know they went down to 10 men. Calvin Phillips, another red card. And I just want to say, I feel so sorry for Calvin Phillips. I think he was just such a good player, but it really just isn't happening for him, right now at any club he's been at. It's just going all wrong. And well, it just changed the game completely. Leicester had loads of opportunities to score. And I mean, in the 94th minute, probably the worst way to concede. Vardy just rolling back the years. I mean, he's just absolutely unreal, this guy. The way that he plays sometimes, the connection he has with the other players, the deft touch he did for Ayew was just absolutely incredible. And Ayew's just one of those players, again, you can just call him a Barclaysman, and just he's always there. He's always doing something. You just recognize him every so often, every couple of weeks. You just see Ayew who's scored, Ayew's been involved in this, Ayew's done this. He's just a really, really great utility player, and I feel like Leicester are definitely benefiting from signing him. Great little finish from him, great move overall. Soumare, I think, coming on, driving in that midfield. That's what Leicester want to be seeing from Soumare. Those little drives, those runs from deep, that's exactly what they signed him for. Yaya Toure-esque, I saw a Leicester fan say this. And it was a bit, getting into that area and being strong there to win the ball and jewel his way into the final third was really nice. I want to say, though, that goal from Leif Davis was absolutely unreal. He has a peach of a left foot, 8.4 rating, much deserved, created the most chances as well. Really, really, really nice performance from him. And in terms of Morsey as well in the midfield, he's been quite impressive for me, the 33-year-old. He really adds that maturity in there, his quality on the ball. 44 out of 49 accurate passes, winning those duels 6 out of 8. He just adds that much needed maturity in the middle of the park, which you want to be seeing. Delap, I think I'm a massive fan of him. Didn't really have the best of games against Leicester, but I think we've got to also just end it off talking about that penalty decision. Was it a penalty? I feel it was incredibly harsh that Ipswich didn't get that penalty. I feel like as a referee, when you see that initially, your first response should be penalty. It was a hefty collision. It was inside the box. All of these things, I really do feel like Ipswich were wronged in that sort of sense. But this was a game where both teams didn't want to be seeing this draw happen. 15th and 18th respectively. Ipswich now 5 points off Leicester and 2 points off, being out of the relegation zone. Can't really say much in terms of what it means for the future, but a very interesting game for sure. Southampton 1, Everton 0. Probably not the most exciting game again, but Southampton needed that win. I mean, oh my days, they have been really, really trying to get that win on the board in the Premier League. And I feel like Russell Martin, deserves some credit. He's got a lot of stick for the way he plays, but he switched formation in the second half. Southampton looks so much better. I feel like Fernandes, a really, really nice player. He's only 20 years old. I love the way he plays. They've got the most dribbles with 6 there, the most accurate passer, won the most duels. In the Premier League, you need to be a great jeweler, but great on the ball. And Matthias Fernandes is showing both of those qualities. Even against Arsenal, when I remember watching him, he looked really, really good, just the way he gets himself around the pitch. So much quality, so much technical ability. And it's nice to see these sort of players in these lower sides in the Premier League. Armstrong, really important for him to get a goal as well. They need to have a striker who's consistently scoring. I think him and Archer can make a really strong partnership up there, and Southampton can start surging up the table. They just need to get this balance right of the attacking players. I feel like the defence is pretty set with Ramsdale back there, who again had a strong performance. I mean, some of the saves he was making, I remember him doing this for Arsenal, which was really, really great. He's a great shot stopper, and he was doing it again, 8.5 rating, 5 saves, player of the match, really strong performance. And it was key for them to get this clean sheet, to be honest. Maybe Everton, in terms of being quality in terms of finishing off their chances, could have been a lot better. I think Beto, when he came on again, was pretty influential, even though he hit the bar, he was offside. Some of the movement he does is a lot better than Calvert-Lewin right now. I feel like he probably does deserve to start a couple of games. Harrison had some great chances in there, but ultimately one of those games where Everton fan can be a bit disappointed. You want to win these games as Everton, when Southampton are struggling, they haven't won. You need these games to be wins, and it just didn't happen at all. But in terms of Southampton, this can probably surge them a bit and give them this sort of confidence that they can get higher up the table and win games. But for Everton, just a really miserable day. Now on to the final game of the weekend, and what an end to this game. I feel like when we're going to talk about this game, we just have to talk about the end of it, to be honest. You know, I think Fulham really did dominate the whole game and deserved to be winners of it. I think Flecken was making some unreal saves in the game. He made 10 saves, really, really good. But I feel like we've got to just talk about Harry Wilson coming on the bench, off the bench, and just impacting the game in a fantastic, fantastic way. That finish, the first goal, was absolutely unreal. The quality, the skill, the way it just looped over the goalkeeper, it was just magical, to be honest. That's what the Barclays Premier League is all about. Then you had the chance for Carvalho when he came off the bench, and the save by Bernd Leno. Absolutely insane. This is the Premier League, man. 1 minute you think Fulham are gonna, maybe nick it. The next it's Brentford, and then again Fulham come forward. Last minutes, Robinson, nice little underlap, gets the ball, whips it in, and guess who's there again? Harry Wilson. Fantastic header. Not even a header, it came off his shoulder, but fantastic movement. And Robinson is one of those players like Aina, who I really, really rate. Most dribbles with 4 in there, 8.4 rating. He's a really class left back, I feel like. I'm surprised he's stayed at Fulham for as long as he has. He has all the qualities, attacking wise, defensive wise. He has the most touches here with 106, unreal. 10 in the opposition box. 4 out of 4 successful dribbles, like I've said, and those defensive stats, 6 recoveries. He's just so quick. He can recover so quickly. And as an Arsenal fan, to be honest, it was nice to see Smith Rowe and Nelson in the side as well. It's pretty much our B team, to be honest. Leno, Smith Rowe, Nelson, they've got a lot of Iwobi as well. How could I forget? A lot of former Arsenal boys in there, and I feel like Marco Silva's doing a fantastic job with them. As for Brentford, Thomas Frank is a fantastic manager, but he'll be disappointed with the way they played and that they weren't able to generate more chances, because this is the game, a little derby. You want to come out there and be attacking and win the game, but it just didn't happen for them. But yeah, let's just end off the video kind of looking at where everybody kind of stands in the Premier League. Liverpool top with Villa next. That's going to be a great, interesting game. But I feel like at Anfield, with the way Villa are playing, Liverpool would definitely come away with all 3 points. City against Brighton. I think that is at home for City, actually. Oh, it's away to Brighton. That's going to be an interesting game for sure. I feel like City have to come away with those 3 points, to be honest. Otherwise, it's going to be starting to look a bit, spooky over there. Arsenal are going to be able to claw a couple of points back. Then you've got, Nottingham Forest in 3rd place. Absolutely incredible job being done over there by Nuno. They've got to, shoot for the stars, really. Chelsea in 4th, ahead of Arsenal. Big for them. But they want to be going at Stamford Bridge against Arsenal, who are not in the greatest of forms, and they're going to need to get those 3 points. They can really make a statement if they do win that game. Arsenal 5th, just been a horrid set of games for them. Villa, Tottenham, Brighton, all pretty much congested in that little area. It's going to be interesting to see when this sort of table properly formulates where these teams stand. Fulham as well, they're getting in around the European chase with Bournemouth. It's an exciting Premier League table, and even Newcastle with that win, they still find themselves 11th. It's just so tight. Between 4th and 11th, there is 3 points between the teams. That just shows how much quality there is in the Premier League. And down at the bottom, I feel like Wolves 3 points, 4 points off Palace in 17th place. This hasn't really formulated. I feel like we'll start seeing in about 5 games time which teams are going to be those relegation candidates. I do think Southampton are going to be staying down there. Ipswich for sure. Everton are always there, but they always seem to survive. I feel like Leicester as well will be dragged down there. And West Ham, I feel like unless they sack Lopetegui, they're going to be really struggling. And Amarin, that's just United waiting for him to come in. And I feel like he'll make a great difference. But anyway, that's it for now. Hope you have enjoyed. Please make sure you have subscribed if you are new here and hit the like button. And until next time, peace.